Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Neil Haley Show. I'm the host of the show, Neil Haley. You can go to my website, TotalTutor.net, for more information. Twitter, Total Tutor, Neil S. Haley, Facebook, LinkedIn, Neil Haley, Instagram, Total Tutor, and Google Plus, Neil Haley. And this show is going to be about a lot of concerns I have with what's going on with the NFL right now. I am concerned with all the bad PR they're getting, a lot of players in certain situations about spousal abuse to poor parenting, and even the latest one that I might want to bring up with Christy because it was a former player of the Steelers. So I'm so excited to welcome to the program the founder of Insightful Player. And if you listen to my radio show, you know her very well because I've had the Insightful Player series on my network. Author Chrissy Carew, Insightful Player. How are you, Chrissy?
I'm great. How are you, Neil? Thank you so much for having me on your amazing show.
Oh, well, thank you. And it is exciting the dual broadcast of television and radio so that our listeners and also our viewers can hear all the great things that you do at an Insightful Player. So tell us a little bit about that, then we're going to get right into the topic. Just an overview, a quick overview of what you do.
Well, Insightful Player is a bold
Right.
movement of hope where I showcase NFL good guys to inspire youth. And we
Right.
do that through my published book as well as my upcoming book of inspiring stories where the players are really vulnerable, they're really open, they share mess-ups, mistakes,
Right, exactly.
and the wisdom they gain from that, because they really want to save kids their mistakes. And we also have school assembly programs that are preceded with working with the teachers to, with some curriculum, and then we do the school assembly, and then we have follow-up coaching
Right.
to support, and that's for the children as well as for the teachers.
Well, what's great is that you always have to continue to follow up with kids. You give them an assembly or a certain situation, you can't go ahead and then say, by the way, you handle this, parents. You need to have that resource and tool that continues. And that's the awesome thing of having great players. And I can't wait to talk about that. But Chrissy, as you know, I really like talking about the news. And this is where you're getting pulled by major organizations and media outlets because of what's happening, how they're painting a horrible picture with the NFL. Certain players are just ruining this great game, in my opinion. And now we're painting them all as thugs and different things. And I'm sure that makes you very upset when you hear about these things.
Yeah, because before I started Insightful Player, I did research for 2 years, and one of my favorite things about the research, which was a surprise actually, that there were many more wonderful
Oh, there
role
are.
models,
Yeah.
really good
Mm-hmm.
people in the NFL than I had realized, because the media focuses on the negative and the
So much of it.
sensationalism,
You're absolutely
and
right.
they obsess over it. I think they all have OCD. And it's like, get mad at me for saying that. But I say, with the research, excuse me, I think
Right.
99% of them are really
Oh, yeah.
wonderful human beings.
Anyone wants to knock success, and the NFL is the best sport in America, and because they're making a lot of money, especially the NFL as an organization and the owners. When we find things that are wrong with something, we like to knock it. Now, let's go into the Ray Rice situation in so many ways. I think that the NFL handled this horribly, and yet they fix things in certain ways. But I mean, it's amazing to think that you see a video, somebody gets pulled out unconscious. They think it was a love tap, Chrissy. That's the surprising part of this situation with Ray Rice. Then we see the video firsthand. Then he's considered the worst player that's ever played in the NFL based on the decision he made.
Well, I think what we saw was a reflection of what's in the world,
Right, exactly.
and that's the one blessing with this. I call it the NFL tsunami,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Going on right now is that it's bringing more awareness to domestic violence.
Oh, definitely.
You know, with with partners and children. And my goodness, and I think that there's a real opening.
Yeah.
And one of my favorite people is Barbara Marx Hubbard, and she is known for saying, as well as dedicated her life to, crisis is an evolutionary driver.
Definitely, yeah.
And then we have the opportunity as the world, not just in our country, to actually take a look at what are the blessings here. How can we move forward? How can we leverage these heartbreaking stories to become better human beings and to be more supportive of our children?
Exactly, yeah. And, yeah, definitely, Chrissy. And I'll definitely want to follow up with Adrian Peterson and things. But when we don't, this happens everywhere. And I am going to say this, James Harrison, nothing really happened to him in Pittsburgh when he was playing for the Steelers, did almost the same type of horrific thing that Ray Rice said. So I think this has been happening with some of the guys that haven't been able to handle things right. Then once they discovered this thing with Ray Rice, everyone is painted that picture. And I think it's going to be great just to say, hey, domestic violence is wrong always. When it happens, and it happens in every home, I mean, not every home, but it happens in homes across the country, either verbal or physical abuse, and not just always the husband, but the wife in certain aspects. So we need to really bring these things out, that these players are not just perfect. They are individuals that make mistakes. They're individuals that need to learn from their mistakes, especially when they were always treated with kid gloves in ways. Do you agree?
With, oh yeah, 100 million% times 6 billion.
I mean, so thinking about that, when we think about, Ray Rice and the decision, and the real sad point about this, Chrissy, is in some circles in this country, if a woman hits a man, they feel it's okay to retaliate, regardless if it'll be 10 times as much. And we as a society have to say it is wrong. It's violence is wrong, regardless of who does it. In so many ways,
right? And we also need to. I agree. We have to take a strong stand, and as well as to show them, have them experience, a compelling vision of what's possible in relationships.
Exactly.
A lot of people. I mean, not just NFL players, but in the world, don't have great marriages,
Right, yeah.
And, and they don't have respect for their partners. And
exactly.
And I think if we could, teach them some values in how to be a wonderful partner, not just in their homes, but everywhere. Keep it congruent throughout their life. If they're great team members, okay, will you have a team at home too?
Yeah. We're talking to Chrissy Carew on the Neil Haley Show, and she's from Insightful Player. You can go to insightfulplayer.com to find out information on her amazing players and what they're doing in the community, and also my website, totaltutor.net. Now, Adrian Peterson. Now, everyone wanted to convict Ray Rice. Now we're seeing another thing, corporal punishment, even though he was far worse of a corporal punishment. This dialogue coming out now. And so again, can you label Adrian Peterson the same as you would Ray Rice?
Well, I'd never label any one human being exactly the way I would label another human being. And I agree with you that there's a lot of disparity over people's response to that. And like Charles Barkley said on the NFL Today, that he doesn't think it's the responsibility of professional athletes to be role models.
Right, exactly.
And that with the culture he grew up in the South, I'm paraphrasing. That
I know
that was the normal way, and that yes, he was beaten, and it really helped him. And I personally don't believe in hitting kids ever.
Right.
I never would hit one of my animals ever.
Yes.
And the whole point back to it's not the professional athlete's responsibility to be a role model. He thinks it's up to the parents, but I think in this society, parents can't do it alone anymore.
No.
Even in the best of homes, let alone all these children
Right.
that don't have role models. They don't have loving parents. And sometimes they have very kind, well-meaning parents, and most often a single parent, but they have to spend all their time out of the house making money.
Exactly.
So they don't
and they're
they
not
don't have
even
room,
no.
you know?
They don't have the time, and they think this is the solution. This works. This brings a fear that so they're not going to get in those certain trouble. And but see, then the thing is, Adrian handling it himself in a way is a surprise. But it just looks exactly like we have to look at Adrian Peterson, the person, to what was going on in his relationships. 7 children for 4 different women. Things like this we have to look at as well. And we can't look, and the athlete makes a mistake. I look at it like what Ray Rice did. See, I'm about forgiveness, and I'm about everyone needs to be reformed in certain ways. The society today, they want to kind of just, and you don't have to agree with me on this, I believe everyone deserves a second chance. And just to say, you're out of the NFL based on one decision. If we found out Ray Rice did this countless times, then you know what, this should be it for him in his career. But I don't know, and I don't want your opinion, but my opinion is with either of these is, again, you got to give somebody a second chance. You have to reform them if you see they take the right measures in community and things like that, but not get back on the football field 1 week later. And see, this is where I had a conversation, I can't say, with a certain NFL player off air that said he was in the players' organization and he saw this countless times and the guys were on the field the next week. So now finally the court of public opinion knows what's going down on Chrissy, and that's the problem.
Right.
The problem it's that the players just were never told this is just life. You can we only care about what you were doing on the football field, and that goes back to poor responsibility of the ownership and also the Players Association sometimes.
Again, I think it's a call to bring in an army of support and for players when they come into the NFL, when they start young. And, you know, I've always dreamed about coaching rookies.
Right.
And helping them and being there with them as a partner in their whole life.
Exactly.
All the way through their career and beyond. And part of that is helping them identify what community service would really be most compelling for them to get involved in. Because it's when we give is how we receive the most. And, you know, a lot of these players have come from, you know, horrific backgrounds.
Definitely.
And they go from being dirt poor and hungry to having all this money. Well, even the lower paid players.
Definitely. Oh, Kirsty,
it's a lot of money for them.
Absolutely. When we get back, I want you to talk about the solution and learn more about what Insightful Player is and why I'm partnered with you with Insightful Player, doing the Insightful Player series, and how your players are truly great role models in the community. And the NFL, but all major sports need these role models to be in the spotlight. And people like Ray Rice, Adrian Peterson, and other players that are coming out of the woodwork aren't. Okay, you're watching The Neil Haley Show, and we'll be back in just a moment.
Everyone is welcome to Bethel Park Volunteer Fire Company's first annual Oktoberfest and Monte Carlo night. It'll be held on Saturday, October 18th at the Bethel Park Community Center. Festivities include a live DJ, 50-50 raffle, and much more. Tickets are $25 and can be purchased by calling firefighter Eva Parker at 412-758-0917 or Deputy Chief Rob Nestrich at 412-862-1339. You must be at least 21 years old to attend. One ticket for only $25 buys you all the food and drink you want, plus a night filled with fun, laughter, and games. We'll see you at the first annual Oktoberfest and Monte Carlo night at the Bethel Park Community Center, 5151 Park Avenue on October the 18th. All proceeds benefit the Bethel Park Volunteer Fire Department. Special thanks to our sponsors, Pasta 2, Virgili Beer, Pepsi, Lowe's, Bethel Park Printing, and Kogo's. See you Saturday, October 18th.
We're back to the Neil Haley Show, and we're focusing on the NFL's problems with some of the players in the community and what they're doing and what's the solution. We have insightful player Chrissy Carew, the founder of Insightful Player. You can go to insightfulplayer.com to read her book and also learn about the great things her players are doing in the community. And now, Chrissy, we talked about two major people. We could talk about a lot of them that are coming out of the woodwork in the NFL. I mentioned somebody before in James Harrison that was back on the field in the week. So we have to have some accountability for players that make these mistakes. But I always want to give somebody a second chance. But I guess that's me being a teacher. But now let's talk about, Chrissy, the solution to this problem. At Insightful Player, where do you see the guys and the things? I guess first you were talking about coaching them as rookies, but what other types of solutions do you have?
I would like for the media, because they're so powerful,
right,
to be more open to sharing positive stories and positive news. I think that would be really valuable. And you know, they've talked about we really, you know, need to. James Brown, who I love, JB, talked about the Thursday night football game last week. I'm so sorry, I had to clear my throat. That we need to really help the players.
Yes.
And, you know, have programs for the players. And I agree with them. But the biggest thing I think that for a long-term solution is we need to start working with these people as children. I mean, if we're able to work with them as children and not just athletes, but all children, you know, and help them become visionaries, help them see beyond their circumstances is what I mean by that. Help them believe beyond their circumstances and help them embrace values. Help them, you know, identify what their key top values are and be there with them. Don't just do a school program and say, okay, good luck, kids. We need to stay with them. We have to stay with them and, you know, develop programs that are coaching programs and, you know, year-long programs and to really be there for them. And I think that's the greatest solution, to start with kids. Exactly.
So not just the kids in sports, but I think they need it the most in so many ways because they're constantly working on their craft. That all they care about is the athletic prowess, not the academic prowess, not the learning the norms of society. And Chrissy, I had a really good conversation with an former NBA player yesterday, Marcus Liberty, and he talked about now the players that are from the Chicago area want to leave as quickly as possible, but they're afraid they're going to die. They're going to get shot and killed. So think of the communities that some of these kids are coming from. We need to figure out ways of mentoring them and not let them grow up in such danger, especially like if we're talking about Chicago.
Right, and I think most of us in the world, and I didn't really know this until I really started digging my heels in for Insightful Player, was there are so many kids that are in such trouble and don't have anyone there loving them and supporting them that it's like tragic. It's like crisis, big time.
Exactly.
And we're oblivious to that. But part of what Insightful Player wants to do is bring awareness and enroll people in communities all over the world, starting with all over the country, to step up and become mentors, to step up and to become aware of where the children are in their community. And a lot of them are in tough shape.
They're definitely in tough shape. So I don't think that the people that are paying the ton of money, that are the first to persecute the NFL, that are spending $400 on a seat to a football game, and are spending X amount of dollars to travel all over the country to watch them, but then they don't understand the backgrounds that they came from, a lot of them. And that's where I want to bring our focus more to you. I mean, your players are so amazing, and you wrote a book about this, and you're about to write a second book, and the goal of Insightful Player to go out there and have these school programs. So if you're an educator or a teacher, administrator, and you would like Chrissy to come to your school, go to insightfulplayer.com and contact her very soon, because fantastic players. But if we could look at these players and have them mentor the rest of the teams, that's another part of it. You're mentoring them, showing this is an example of making the right decision. When you think of people like Benjamin Watson, what a tremendous player that plays for the Saints right now. I am blown away of his character and how he's truly making the right decisions in a very difficult environment playing in the NFL.
I love him. I think he's wonderful. And I will say, he is so kind-hearted, and he's such a good man. And he's very committed to his own development, and it's just remarkable. And I feel that way. I love all my players.
Oh, they're all like that.
They're all really kind-hearted, good people, and they want children to know they're no different than the children. Kids look up at them as gods, and their players don't want them to do that, and just to remind children that they're on the same human path as they are. And they would love to save kids their mistakes so they don't have to make them. And I think that's really generous and really, really, really what our world needs. And as far as players, the whole Charles Barkley thing, I think it is an honor for a player to be a professional athlete. And I do believe it's their responsibility to be a role model. Perhaps they have a lot of children. They don't have time to do the community service right now. But isn't it being a wonderful role model by taking beautiful care of your family? Right? And
right.
But I say pay them as much as they want. Give them a lot of money, because they have the potential to reshape and upgrade society as a whole. And if they're on that platform where they can make a huge difference to
go for it. Yes.
Children and adults too, then hey, I'm happy to have them being paid a lot. However, if they don't feel that's their thing, I disagree with that. That's a conflict of values for me.
And then why should they be the face of a foundation or their own foundation if they're not handling things right in the community? I feel so bad. I know that Ray Rice did such tremendous things with his foundation work and things like this. And I think of bullying. I forget what was going on. I remember one of his friends was on that works for CBS and that played for the Ravens. But really, the key component in this is don't just join a foundation just because you want to say, look at me. Look at what you're going to do great things in the community. So can you mention, I know one is Rasheed Davis and what he's able to do for as one of the Insightful Players, played for the Bears and different things, and what he does and how much passion he has for children. Am I correct?
Oh, my God. I would have to say that next to my mom, or a close second, Rasheed Davis is one of the most beautiful human beings and the most humble people I've ever met. He's enormously committed to kids. He's under the radar. And it's just amazing how much he's done for children in the Chicago area with his Saturday Place Foundation. It's unbelievable. And back to what you said a moment ago, like Ray Rice and Adrian Peterson, they were very loved. And everyone thought they were amazing. They did a lot for the community. But one of the key principles that Insightful Player wants to get across is the importance of vulnerability. And if we can all develop more intimate skills, then, as children, right? And teach them the value of vulnerability, then people will know what's going on. and they'll marshal the support, and they'll be encouraged, and they'll get the help. And there's this. Yeah, I'm really, really hoping that we as a society take advantage and leverage these tragedies into moving forward as the human race.
Absolutely. All right, Chrissy, where can we learn more about you, the programs, your book? Where can we go?
If everyone visits insightfulplayer, that's singular.com, insightfulplayer.com, they can definitely find me.
All right, well, Chrissy, it was fantastic. In the last 30 seconds, what would be the first step to kind of get these players back to doing great things in the community? What would it be?
Finding out where their passion is and coaching them to support it. And by the way, the NFL does have some coaching programs in place, and I'm very excited about that.
All right. Well, cool, Chrissy. Good talking to you. Best of luck in everything you're doing, and we'll keep in touch. And definitely anything in the NFL comes back out on the radar, especially bad things or good things, we'll have you back on the show. So thanks again for calling.
All right. Thank you, Neil. I appreciate it.
All right. Take care, Chrissy. Okay.
Okay, you too. Bye-bye.
All right, that was Chrissy Carew of Insightful Player, and a really interesting conversation we had, and what a great show we had today. I just really am glad to hear about, and I'm glad being part of working with Insightful Player for the past year, that there are great players. They're the most, down to earth. I mean, they really want to help people in the community, and they see that football was not their life. It was a platform to transform society. And that's my ultimate hope when it comes to growing, helping individuals and see them grow, is that, hey, God gave me this talent to be great. Well, that's only a portion of my life. What am I going to do when I leave the field? Am I going to transform society and become a legacy? And that's the key component. Every NFL, any professional athlete, you're a role model, and you have to look at your career is very short. How are you going to change society? You are honored by so many people and are the most popular. If you can go out there and do great things, there's nothing stopping you. All right, well, next week on the show, we're going to have a conversation a little different politically, and it's going to talk about Keith Davies is going to be on the show, and we're going to talk about ISIS. He's going to educate us on ISIS or ISIL or whatever, and the war, and what is his take? Is it going to be that easy just to go ahead and bomb, or do we need ground troops? So I hope everyone has a fantastic week, and I love having a weekly show. So good day, everyone, and we'll see you next week on the show.
BPTV. Come volunteer. If it wasn't fun, I wouldn't be here.
BPTV. Come on in, make a show. It's still fun after all these years.